He just got put on blast as Colin Cowherd is at it again, running his mouth about Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy with no real grounds. Meanwhile, J.J. perfectly responds as backed up by the real sources on the matter. We're going to be breaking down all that in this episode of Vikings Digest. But first, if you're enjoying this Vikings content, you want to stay up to date, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the episodes as they drop. With that, let's hop straight into it, folks. Get your popcorn because Colin Cowherd is at it again. So he was on the herd the other day talking about Minnesota Vikings and J.J. McCarthy, saying there's so much mystery here. Why does Minnesota keep flirting with quarterbacks? And there's too many conflicting reports on J.J. McCarthy. There's a lot of stuff I just don't know. I feel sometimes there's a bit of a spin job here. So right out the gate, not too crazy, a little bit mundane, but still kind of taking a little bit of shot there with the spin job kind of comment. A lot of people are saying that there's rumors going around that the Vikings are wanting to move on from J.J. McCarthy, even though everything else saying that is indicating otherwise. You look at how the team has embraced him, the staff, everybody is just committed to him being the franchise quarterback of this team. And then it takes a bit of a turn where Colin Cowherd absolutely gets on one, where he says to be a great franchise quarterback, there has to be a wow trait. Let's just run through them. Mahomes, arm talent; Allen, sheer force of size; Lamar, athletic ability; Stafford has one of the great arms in the last 30 years in the league; Burrow, composure and accuracy; Herbert, big, strong, power; CJ Stroud, accuracy; Hurts, strength, pound for pound; Kyler Murray, elusiveness. You start that stacking up these quarterbacks, there is a trait, and he's not wrong there, but this is where he absolutely goes insane, saying there's no real great trait with J.J. McCarthy. That's why I was always a Darnold fan. Darnold is tough with a big arm. He can be reckless, but there are times where you watch Darnold, his ability to make big throws while moving is special. I don't get McCarthy's wow trait. I don't see the wow. And then when you look at all this, you look at Sam Darnold last year, everyone has been kind of drinking the Kool-Aid of his season last year, where it wasn't as great of a season as we might want to think. If it was a great season, he would have been in the MVP conversation because he got us to 14-3. But when you really break down the Vikings season, during the season, we were all riding that wave really high. We were all saying, hey, we're Super Bowl contenders, all this. Yes, we were all thinking that we were going to be going deep into the playoffs. But real Vikings fans were knowing that the cliff was coming. We knew that we were playing a very easy schedule against easy teams, against easy defenses. Had a bit of a mirage early on in the season where we played against some teams that ultimately did make the playoffs with the Houston Texans because they figured it out later in the season, kind of like the Bengals have been able to do for some of the past few years. Not last year, of course, but same kind of MO where slow start, finish strong. The Vikings, on the other hand, they were a victim of playing a very easy schedule and getting exposed later on in the year when the games mattered. You look at the big games that we played against the Packers, we won those ones, but against playoff teams, we really didn't beat the ones that were actually really good. We didn't beat the Lions, we lost to them twice. We didn't beat the Rams, lost them in the regular season and in the postseason. So there was really a lot of teams where when you look at our schedule, we didn't play a lot of great teams. And Sam Darnold was exposing those terrible defenses for the most part. He was taking those big shots and all that. But when it came time to those big games, those big chances that Colin Cowherd is talking about here were getting exposed and were a detriment and a liability to the team. Of course, on top of a bad offensive line and some other questionable things happening as far as defensive play calling, too much blitzing and things like that. But overall, when you look at the difference between J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold, yes, he's still an unproven commodity. But when you look at the potential, the floor and the ceiling, we know what Sam Darnold has been capable of. That's why he's not in Minnesota. That's why we're committing to J.J. McCarthy. But when you think about all the things that Cowherd is saying here, especially going into his traits, go back and look at the people I trust. I never buy when you say this about a quarterback. That guy is a winner. Everybody under Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban, and Steve Spurrier is a winner. I don't want to hear that. If you go back and look, his arm is modest, his escapability is modest, his release wasn't super quick. So he is not sold on J.J. McCarthy whatsoever. But when you look at the tape, he's won a national championship, and there's so many reasons as to why they were able to win a national championship. Yes, J.J. McCarthy was one of them, but there was a lot of things that he brought to the table that helped get that team there. They had a great running game, but he was part of the reasons why he was able to get the ball off to those running backs. He was able to get them in those, yes, sometimes checkdowns, but it wasn't like Shedeur Sanders where that's all he was throwing. He was still able to take those deep shots, and in that preseason game, he was firing out on all cylinders. But overall, Colin Cowherd is just barking up the same tree that he's been barking up all offseason, trying to find the polarizing opinion, just like when early on when Josh Allen was coming out, he was talking all this smack about Josh Allen, and now look at him. He's one of his number one fans, and now there's a lot of things you could say about it that I can't say here, but there is so many things with Colin Cowherd on the Minnesota Vikings that he has been so wrong on, especially heading into last season. Everyone was talking about how we were not going to be very good. We were able to kind of prove them wrong until the wheels fell off and it ultimately mattered. But by that time, those people that were doubting us were the ones drinking the Kool-Aid and trying to get us all the way to a Super Bowl or just being our biggest supporters on the bandwagon, when the real Vikings fans knew that, yeah, you guys were talking smack about us, now you're trying to make up for it, but really this is what's going to happen all along, and you guys are just trying to find whatever story you can chase around that. Real Vikings fans know what the Vikings are made of, and we know what J.J. McCarthy will be made of. But what do you guys think about Colin Cowherd's comments on J.J. McCarthy? Do you think that he's just barking up the wrong tree and just being on the same thing that he's been on and is just going to keep getting proven wrong about this? Or do you crazily think that there is some shred of truth to what he's saying? I definitely agree what he's saying about how every quarterback has a wow trait, but saying how none of it applies to J.J. McCarthy is absolutely asinine. Even when his host tried to give him some pushback, he stood on that business and said, no, absolutely not. I don't see it. Absolutely insane. Let us know what you guys have to say about it, but that's going to take us into the second topic, which is the reliable sources, the real ones. And this is where Colin Cowherd gets kind of put on blast. Where J.J. McCarthy, speaking on his quote-unquote arm strength, he said, I would say a lot of it just comes with the stigma of playing at Michigan and not throwing the ball a lot. At the same time, could be my frame. They don't see a 6'5", 240 guy, so how can he throw it 61 miles an hour at the combine and all that? But at the end of the day, it's going to show up. And the people that know. I think it's just about the situations I've been in and maybe not passing the eye test for some people. And this was in response to a question he was asked about the criticism within his arm strength and things like that. So 100% he's talking about Colin Cowherd right here, where he's just saying it's going to show up. The people that know, they know. And for the eye test, I don't care if you guys don't see it. I know I see it. My teammates see it. And that's what it's all about. And then you have Justin Jefferson, backing up his quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, saying he has a very strong arm. The velocity of the ball and the spin of the ball, he has a tight spin. It definitely comes to you very quicker than what you expect. His accuracy and his ability to put it in those tight windows, that's something that we're really going to need during the season. And then you have on the defensive side of the ball, Josh Metellus coming out and saying he has one of the best zips I've seen since being in the league. And I've been around some guys who could sling it. He throws the ball as good as I've been around. He can put the ball where he wants to. And speaking on his throwing, McCarthy was talking about getting back to his throwing motion, saying it just comes with the reps in the feel. Just like you work on your chips in a golf game, just finding that feel over and over again. Having this much time off and not throwing the ball since the injury, just finding that feel again, it's just an ultimate blessing that I get to be out here and take the advantage of these 6 weeks and really work on those different kind of pitches. So everything with J.J. McCarthy, we know he is mentally just fully prepared for this season. He's been taking that whole entire year off that he was injured. He said, okay, I'm not just going to sit and mope on the sideline. I'm going to continue to learn how Kevin O'Connell calls the plays, learn how the sound is in US Bank Stadium and other NFL stadiums, learn how the Vikings operate on a day-to-day basis, learn the ins and outs of this playbook so he knows it to a T. Now, he's got all that pretty much set to the side but all that basically down pat because he took an entire year to do that when he didn't have to focus on playing on the field. Now, comes into this season fully healthy, fully mentally prepared, and now it's just the on the field stuff where it can come a lot more naturally. We've seen it happen with other rookie quarterbacks whether they're rookie in their first year or a quote unquote rookie in their second year, but first year starting. This is where we've seen a lot of quarterbacks kind of get make or break years happen where they come out, they don't have the football IQ or the team IQ, and it just comes all crashing down onto one. We saw that happen with Bryce Young. Then when they benched Bryce Young for those games, not saying he learned all the ins and outs of the team and all that in a matter of a few weeks, but what I'm saying is we saw with Bryce Young how he was benched for those few games, he came back stronger than ever, and he was a victim of that first season of starting. Then you look at some other quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, of course, where everyone talks about how he sat for 1 year, came out swinging, Jordan Love as well. There's a lot of different quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers too. So J.J. McCarthy, he wasn't forced to have to sit behind it. He was in the sense of those guys where he was just on the depth chart that way. He was a guy that was probably going to be starting by the start of next year. But within the first couple of weeks, if Sam Darnold were to have faltered, maybe Sam Darnold would have continued to ball out. But if he would have faltered, we would have had JJ plugged right in there. But with this, now JJ can come in, no pressure, not worrying about the depth chart or anything like that, and having been forced to learn in the playbook by being injured, unfortunately, and now he's ready to come out swinging, and he just clapping back at everybody saying, hey, you can say what you want. I know I don't have much tape to prove it. All this noise has been discussed about me and being QB1 and the future of the franchise. I don't care. I'm just going to go out here and ball, and the tape is going to speak for itself. So all the clowns in the media that are saying, hey, JJ doesn't have it, there's no wow trait or anything like that, y'all are going to be shut up at one way or another at some point during this season. And I, for one, can't wait to see it. And I know Vikings fans can't wait to see it as well. We've been so pumped for a long time coming to see J.J. McCarthy step on the field in the regular season game for the Minnesota Vikings. And we are getting very, very close to seeing that happen. Hopefully, it's everything that we wanted it to be and more. And if it is even just half of that, I'm pretty sure we are going to be talking about a very successful season for the Minnesota Vikings by the end of next year. But that's going to do it for this episode of Vikings Digest. Let us know what you guys have to say about it all down below, about Colin Cowherd, about what JJ was saying clapping back, about what his teammates were saying supporting him. Let us know about everything down in the comments below. That's going to do it for this episode of Vikings Digest. I've been your host, Griffen. Take care.